Hey, I hope everybody's doing well. Thanks for tuning in. I wanted to do something that I've been wanting to do for a while. This video is going to be a little bit different. It's kind of a book review. I know I haven't made a video in a long time. The problem I run into a lot is that obviously it's summertime where I live, and it's extremely hot. I live in the southwest of the United States. So on a normal day, it's about 110, 115. And my garage is where I make my videos. Right now it is 7 o'clock in the morning and it's already like 97 degrees. So it's very hot in here, and it's very hard for me to make guitar related stuff in here unless I get up super early, and then I can't, obviously turn the volume up. But I figured I'd do something different. I've been wanting to review this book for a long time, so we're going to talk about this book today. Sorry about the glare here. Let me do it like this. So this book, I first heard about this book on a podcast called Talk Louder with Jason McMaster from Dangerous Toys. And if you grew up in the late 80s, early 90s, you definitely remember Dangerous Toys. And then his host is Dave, I'm sorry, I can't remember, Dave something. But he's like a rock journalist. That he was like a rock journalist in the 80s, 90s, and I think he may still be today. But so two podcasts with those two guys, great podcast. I love listening to it. Well, he had these guys on his podcast one day, the guys who wrote this book. And so after I heard it, I was like, man, I want to check it out. And let me tell you, this did not disappoint. I will have a link to the podcast in the description, and I'll have a link to this book. I just for reference, I did email these folks and ask them if it was okay if I made a video, and they did say it was. They didn't mind. So just so we're clear here, but I'm gonna send a link. I'll put the link for Amazon because it is available on Amazon, and a link to their own homepage. But if you're interested in getting this, I would probably highly recommend getting it as soon as possible, just because these are pictures from them, like the guys who wrote it. These are like personal pictures, and I'm sure at some point there's going to be like a copyright issue with this. So if you want one before they get taken off the shelf, or whatever you want to say, I would definitely recommend getting one. I think it was like $30, $25 or something like that. It came with this cool like concert ticket bookmark again. Oh, upside down, sorry. Again, mine did. I've had this for a long time. I just am lazy and wanted to make this, but it keeps popping up on my Facebook feed. So I'm like, you know what? I want everybody else to see this thing too. It's it's really cool. So kind of some of the bands it has in here, just to name off a few. It's got Van Halen, Ozzy, Y&T, AC/DC, Black Sabbath, UFO, Iron Maiden, Scorpions, Judas Priest, Kiss, Dio, Queensryche, Rainbow, Michael Schenker, Ted Nugent, Motley Crue, the heyday, the heyday of heavy metal, right? In the early to mid 80s. I'm not sure if there's late 70s in here, but some of the things that, when I read this book, one of the things that just blows me away, like for example, the very first page, the very first one they show, and I'll show it here, is Van Halen. So if you can see, oh man, this glare. I apologize for the glare if I turn it this way. But basically, it's a picture of him holding a Van Halen guitar pick. The thing that kills me is look at the ticket, right? So it's a picture of his actual concert ticket from June 13th, 1981. Look at the price, $10. Ugh. Imagine that, seeing Van Halen like literally and Eddie Van Halen and the band in their heyday, 1981. I think that's Fair Warning Tour or Women and Children First, but a couple short years right after Van Halen 1 and 2 and Eruption, and like the scene is blowing up in 1981. Imagine seeing Eddie Van Halen for $10. That's just, it blows my mind. In the podcast, he really tells the story of how he got these, and here's the guy on the back cover. Man, this glare sucks. I do apologize for that. It's because my garage is open. Let me see. Maybe if I shut the garage though, it's going to be super hot in here. So I'll try. Apologize about the glare. So here's the guy who took most of the pictures. And again, I would encourage you to listen to the podcast because he tells a lot more of the story. But basically he tells the story of they ask him like, how were you able to sneak all these cameras into the venue back in the day, back then? Because in the late 70s, early 80s, probably, cameras were, big. And these photos, these photos are very clear. I'm just like super, super shocked that, look at the photos of, Angus Young, Brian Johnson, they look like the guy is like right in front of them. It's amazing. But he tells how he snuck the camera in, through his jacket sleeve. He got caught a couple times, but had like a spare camera. It's insane. To go through all that back then, it's just, it's admirable because, it's hard enough sometimes right now getting your phone in and everything. And this guy, he's bringing camera. Normally you'd have like a giant camera bag, but this guy sneaking it in on his sleeve, in his shoes. The story is crazy. It's really a cool story. But the pictures and these pictures are, personal pictures. So this guy was not a professional photographer. He was just a guy like one of us who loved concerts, went there and kind of just, had this idea to take pictures. Here's another one. July 18th, 1982, Iron Maiden Day on the Green, right? Look, it's just, and it's got a little story, about it. But again, the price, let me see if I can zoom in there. So you got to see, I don't know who else was on that bill, but the price, where is it? Right there, $15. That's just $15. You can't even hardly park for $15 anymore, let alone get into the concert. It's just really cool that it has the stories and everything behind it. But again, these pictures have never been seen before. So, I guess again, I don't want to ruin his story. Go listen to the podcast. It's really interesting. And if you grew up in the 80s like I did, a lot of it will resonate with you, and it really takes you back. It's a really cool story and a really cool book. Like I said, I highly encourage you to get it. Look at this, one of my favorite. It's got this Van Halen shot. Just look how clear these pictures are. Let's see if I can get up close. It's crazy. And this is just a regular guy, not a professional photographer. All these pictures in here, Eddie Van Halen playing a double neck guitar. I very rarely have seen that before this book, right? These pictures are so clear, and I know the camera isn't doing it justice, especially with the glare, but he's got Judas Priest in here, $11 to see Judas Priest. Kiss, this is 1983, $11 to see. Can you imagine seeing Kiss for $11 now? The last time I saw Kiss was about 4 or 5 years ago, and it was like $250 just for, nosebleeds. You got the cool thing here is, so he went to this tour, which Eric Carr, was the drummer in at least one of these, and he's got a picture of, of Eric Carr right here, right? So just this guy's photo ability was just amazing. Again, we're talking 1982, 83, where, again, like I said, the cameras are, were like this big, and the lenses, right? Sneaking that today, your phone will take better pictures than this camera would back in 1981, but trying to sneak all that in when they didn't let you back then. They checked you for cameras and all that, and video, cassette recorders. I wonder if he has any actual, I don't know if they asked him this on the video or not, or on the interview, if he ever snuck any cassette recorders in there, to record the music. Because I remember back in the day trying to do that with Ozzy. I went to an Ozzy concert in the really early 90s. I want to say it was 1992 or something like that. And I tried to sneak my Walkman in there that had the microphone where you could record. and I got caught with it, and I had to take it back to. I had to hide it. This was in Philadelphia when I lived in Philly in the 80s and 90s, and I wound up, they're like, you can't come in. I wound up having to find a place to hide my Walkman until after the show, in like a bush or under a rock or something, I can't remember, until after the show was over, and then go out and get it. He's got Dio here, 1983 for $10. Just a really, really awesome book if you're a fan of rock and roll. So this one has a price. This is, okay, so AC/DC and Fastway. This is October 19th, 1983. And he's got the ticket stub. He's got Angus Young, Brian Johnson, doing like kind of the sitting on the shoulders thing. The thing I love about this the most too is not only the picture of the ticket stub, but he's got these little stories, about how this whole thing happened. So I'll read you a little excerpt of this one. Released in August of 1983, AC/DC's ninth album, Flick of the Switch, was a commercial disappointment after it failed to match the sales of the band's other previous albums, Back in Black and For Those About to Rock. Then he goes down to say, regardless of the album review and turmoil within the band, it was immediately evident that AC/DC didn't have any problem selling concert tickets. In fact, AC/DC sold out 2 consecutive nights at the LA Forum prior to the 2 sold-out shows here at the Cow Palace on October 19th and 20th. Then he goes on to say, this concert was classic AC/DC with the same type of basic stage show, no bells, no whistles, just great songs. High energy, Angus Young going nuts. Just, again, little cool stories here. And then at the very end, he tells you, you really need to see AC/DC live to appreciate their power, energy, and how hard they work on stage. Even though the images I got that night were good, they really don't convey the live feel of the band. And it had been a year and a half since I saw them last, and they still put on one of the best live in-your-face shows you will ever see. So it's just cool. It gives you just a little snippet and clip of, kind of what he was experiencing at the time. Here's Kiss again when they went like makeup, they went to the 80s Kiss, right? They took off the makeup and wore spandex and all that stuff. Again, $12 to get into that one. Lick It Up tour, $12. That's what blows me away the most about this book. Again, the pictures are amazing because these have never been seen before by anyone other than maybe like his close family or friends. But this is just such a great book. And it's cool that he decided to share it, with everybody. Here's Motley Crue on their, I think this might be the Shout at the Devil tour. Look how close. Again, we're talking about the 1981-82. What year does this say? I'm sorry, 1984. So Shout at the Devil, $13 to see Motley Crue. Getting photos that close back then as a kid, is just amazing. To have the wherewithal to bring all this stuff with you, to think someday. And he's got the Scorpions in their heyday. A lot of Van Halen in here, which if you're a Van Halen fan, I definitely recommend picking it up because there's a lot of Van Halen. So we just heard the news a couple days ago. Aerosmith has retired from touring. Well, he's got August 31st, 1984. He saw Aerosmith in Oakland, California for $13. Come on. $13 to see Aerosmith. And now we'll never get a chance to see the band again fully. So I'm super jealous of this because I wasn't old enough in this time, like 1982, 83, to go to these concerts. Mine started really in the very late 80s, early 90s. Got Sammy Hagar before Van Halen. More Kiss. So he's got a lot of, I'd say the theme in this is like Kiss, Iron Maiden, Kiss, Van Halen, and probably there's a lot of each band, but Van Halen's definitely an AC/DC. They've taken over a lot in this book, but again, it's just amazing. Dio, 1985, 1450, with Rough Cut. It's just amazing. So I definitely would check it out if this is something you're interested in. Here's an interesting one. You can see the ticket prices. So this is Kiss on their reunion tour, okay, in the 90s. So I remember this tour. I was definitely old enough to go to this. I think I was actually out of high school by this time. But this is the reunion tour. Now look at the price. Now this is Kiss reunion tour, August 28th, 1996, $40. So you can see basically in 10 years how much prices had gone up. Now I remember my Ozzy tickets. I think this I can't remember the exact year. I still have the ticket stub somewhere. But I think my Ozzy concert was like $26 or $29. This would have been like probably if I had to guess, like 1991, 92, something like that. But I remember when Kiss reunited, and they did the tour, and he was and this is section 122, so this isn't like nosebleeds. Section 1, $40. I mean, amazing, right? Just, you could see that, but that's how many percent? It's like over a 300% increase in concert tickets from 10 years prior in 86. So he's got a lot of Kiss in here. So like I said, I definitely would check it out. What is this one? Okay, so again, now we're getting, so you can see it's cool to see the evolution of prices. So Kiss in the early 80s was like $13. I just showed you the 1996 Kiss. That was $40. Now we're at Kiss, Ted Nugent, and Skid Row, March 23rd, 2000. Now again, I know 2-3 big acts, but just to show you the difference, this ticket cost him $75. Now again, section 1, so this guy's always getting good seats, which obviously you would need to do if you're going to bring a camera. But he's on section 1. So this is 2000. There's the ticket stub. Again, I just think and the work it took to put this book together. I mean, think you have thousands and thousands of photos you're going through, making the copies, doing that. It's just very, very cool. And again, not that expensive. There's a lot of books on Amazon that are, pretty pricey when it comes to this kind of stuff. Now, I don't know what's going on here. It says it's free. There's no price here. This is July 28th, 2000, Kiss and Ted Nugent. So I don't know. You'd have to... this isn't it. So this is cool. So check this out. Okay, so this is July 28th. Again, he's got the little excerpt in here. So let me just read you some of the stuff, right, that he tries to do. He got out 3 days before this concert. Although I was feeling better, I didn't have the strength to walk very far, and I was concerned because the distance from the parking lot to the venue was long. My wife Kathy and I thought it would be a good idea to bring a wheelchair. I'm embarrassed to say it actually made it easier to sneak my camera in because security can't really frisk someone in a wheelchair. My crafty daughter Sally made me a fake photographer's pass from our local newspaper and even laminated it to make it more convincing. I would use it as a backup if I got caught taking pictures and to try to prove I was a real photographer. As it turns out, I did get caught taking pictures. A security guard came over to me, pulled me aside, and reminded me there was no picture taking allowed. I showed him my photo pass and he asked to see it up close. He wasn't buying it and reminded me that photography wasn't allowed, and he confiscated the film from my camera. Luckily for me, I had more film, and after a few minutes, I was back at it, dodging security and taking pictures of my favorite group for the very last time. That's just so cool. Like, again, stuff there, and this book is full of those stories. So I'm going to wrap this video up. But again, if this is something you're interested in, let me try to get a damn glare. There we go. If this is something, an era of music that you grew up in or you like, I highly, highly recommend checking it out. Again, I'll have the link to his website and Amazon in the description, along with the Talk Louder podcast, because I definitely recommend checking that out too. So, as always, thanks for watching, and I promise I'll be back with some guitar-related content soon. Take care.